Hey guys, this is Brownie Boy TB here with your LBA Season 4 Power Rankings number 1. These Power Rankings are going to be out following the Week 1 matches, where every team has battled twice so far. Some teams have actually battled some of the Week 2 matches, but I'm not going to get into those, and I'm not going to have those affect my Power Rankings. I'm just going to base these completely off the Week 1 matchups only. So let's get into this. So, number 1 overall with the Surrey Litheo, which is Matt or Tipster Jones. His record's 2-0 with a differential +5. And round 1, he had a 2-0 win against the Porty Arcanines, or at Nuclear Android. And round 2, he had a 3-0 win against Quebec City Bearcheeks. Matt battled very, very well in that first match. He had a great game plan going in against Nuke. He brought a max speed Mega Mawa, I think that's what it was. I believe it was max speed. If it wasn't max speed, it was very close to that. And this thing just completely just ravaged Nuclear's team. I never thought there would be that great of a threat having a max speed Mega Mawile, but the way that he matched up against his walls, he was just able to outspeed him and just destroy them. So it was really great game planning on Matt's part. And then in round 2, he just battled really well against Tid Vicious. And altogether, Matt just looks phenomenal again. He's won the league before. In Season 2, he won the league. And he definitely he's got a great team, and he does his homework, and he's a great battler, which also helps, but he just knows how to work around teams, and Matt's a humongous threat going into this season. But in round 3, he's got the Tampa Bay Thunders, which is Geopolitics, and in round 4, he's got the Capron Litwigs, which is Verd. That Week 4, or round 4 match, I should say, is going to be just an onslaught. It's going to be a complete dogfight. I can't wait to watch it, because these two are just top-tier battlers, and it's going to be a blast to watch it. So good luck to both of them, and let's go on to the next one. So number 2, we're going to have the Shadow Valley Murkrows, which is at Mr. Murkrow. He's a newcomer to the league, and he's started out the season 2-0 with a differential +9. On round 1, he had a 3-0 win against Rail Scizors, and round 2, he had a 6-0 win against Jubel Relicants. Altogether, in both of his matches, he just battled really, really well. Against Zayad, he just outplayed Zayad, and then in round 2, when he played Nasser, it was just quite the beating. It was Nasser didn't stand too much of a chance. Again, Nasser, I'm not sure if I've said this before, but in last season, he started out really slow. I believe he got 5-0'd and then maybe like 3-0'd to start, or maybe he did pick up a win in round 2. I can't particularly remember, but I do remember that he did start out with a 5-0 loss, and it's just he struggles at the beginning of the season, but I think he'll be able to come around. But back to Merc, he's just I knew that he was a newcomer. He's obviously a newcomer to the league, but he is a great battler, and I knew that coming into the season. So I'm not particularly surprised to see him just start the season 2-0, like start the season out 2-0. But these next couple matches are going to be particularly tough for him. In round 3, he's got Freedom Yon or the Wolshians, and in round 4, he's got Axiom Milan, which is Corey's, and both those matches are going to be pretty tough. They're definitely winnable for him. As you can see, I have him number 2 overall, so he's definitely a humongous threat in the league, but they're not going to be cakewalk matches, and he's going to have to really do his homework if he wants to get wins in either of them or both of them. So good luck to him and his opponents. But on to the next one. And the next one we're going to have, number 3, is California Caricosas, which is Texto. His record's 2-0 with a differential +5. Round 1, he had a pretty big win, which was a 2-0 win against the Woshians. And round 2, he had a 3-0 win against the Photopyrors, which is Classy Cat. Altogether, Texto's just battling much, much better than last season. Even though last season he did start it out, I think, 2-0 or 3-0, I'd still say that he is battling better this season to start. Helps that he has got a much better team, and he now is somewhat of a veteran. He knows how to work with his team, and he knows how to game plan for opponents. So I think he's definitely one of the favorites to make the playoffs, in my opinion, in Magma. He could potentially push for the Magma title or even the league title. So Texto is definitely a threat in this league, and it'll be interesting to see how he's able to continue. And in round 3, he's got the Jubel Relicants, which is Nasser, who's been struggling so far. And in round 4, he's got the Quebec City Bearcheeks, which is Tid Vicious, who's also been struggling so far. So it'll be interesting to see how Texto battles both of them and if he's able to pull off the wins. But good luck to him and his opponents, but let's go on. Number 4, we have the Tokyo Raichus, which is Shadow Chew, or the Tokyo, like I said, the Tokyo Raichus. His record's 2-0 with a differential +6 so far. In round 1, he had a 2-0 win against Cucamonga Coits, which is Mr. Powers 07. He just outplayed him, and he did typical Shadow things, I'd say. And then in round 2, he had a 4-0 win against Seattle Sandshrews, which is Sandshrew Bogut. And Shadow, in his first 2 seasons, was a runner-up. Both of those seasons. So, I mean, he's going to be pushing for the playoffs and the title, because last season he actually didn't make the playoffs, which is surprising to, I think, everybody in the entire league. And definitely surprising to me, just because I always view Shadow as such a threat, and he just didn't make the playoffs altogether. So I know that he's going to be really pushing for that playoff spot, and most likely going to be pushing really hard for the title altogether, because it's knowing how competitive Shadow is. I know that getting runner-up back-to-back seasons to start the league really hurt him. Like, not hurt his pride or anything like that, but it was just fueled the flame on the fire. He just really wants to get those wins now. But I think that he's definitely got the team for it. He drafted a team that allows him to do his typical Shadow shenanigans. But it'll be cool to watch him battle. He's one of my favorite people to watch battle, just because of all the crazy things that he can do. But in round 3, he's battling the Fuchsia Village Volcarona, which is Chris. And in round 4, he's got the Toronto Cheetahs, which is Jabani. Number 5 overall, we have the Capron Litwicks, which is Vertilit. His record is 2-0 with a differential +7 so far. His round 1 match was a 5-0 win against Edinburgh Knights, which is Bluesy. And in round 2, he had a 2-0 win against New Jersey Magnesiums, which is Grail. Altogether, Verd just outplayed both of his opponents. I can't say that I'm overly surprised that he won both of them, just because it is Verd, but they both are good battlers, and I can definitely see them both winning a good amount of games and stuff like that. But with the way that Verd goes into games, he leaves his opponents very little room for success. So if you don't come in with a foolproof plan on how you're going to try to take down his team, you're most likely going to lose. And that's why Verd hasn't lost officially yet in this in this entire league. Last season, he lost his last season regular match, like technically, because he forfeited because he just didn't have time to deal with the battle, and he just didn't want to handle it. And he was more getting geared for playoffs. So altogether, I think that Verd will lose his first match. I think that he will actually lose a match this season, or lose 2 matches or something like that, but he's definitely a humongous threat. If you don't respect Verd and his team and the things that he can do with his team, then you're an idiot and you're going to lose. That's just that's what it boils down to. But in round 3, he's got the Florida Pyro Wars, which is Classy Cat, and in round 4, he's got Matt, which is Litheo. Talked about that before, but I am just really looking forward to that round 4 match. It's going to be phenomenal. I can't wait to watch it on Vert's channel, and I can't wait to watch the battle code and score it and stuff, just because I know there's going to be so many mind games before that battle, going into that battle, and then during that battle. So it's just going to be, it'll be great to see. But good luck to both of them, and on to the next one. Number 6 overall, we have the Bolton Blastoises, which is at Squirtacular, or Josh. His record's 2-0 with a +8 differential so far. His record, in round 1, I should say, he had a 5-0 win against the Fuchsia Village Volcarona, and in round 2, he had a 3-0 win against the New York Gengars. So in round 1, he had a great win against Chris. A 5-0 against Chris is phenomenal, especially considering that Josh is a newcomer, especially, again, when you're considering that Chris was the Alpha Division finalist last season. So to get a 5-0 win against him there, it's just great for him. And then in round 2, he picked up a 3-0 win against Ryan. He just really overpowered him with his Zapdos, and he just battled really well. If Josh is able to keep it up with the team that he drafted, he definitely can make a push for the playoffs, or even like a top spot in the entire league. He drafted a team that is somewhat lower tiered, I guess I'd say, but they fit his style so well. So it's not that, like I said in my previous draft video, I did rate him pretty high. I believe I gave him an 8 out of 10, because I know that his team isn't overly powerful per se if you were to give it to somebody else, but in his hands and with the way that he works with his team, he's definitely got a good team. So it'll be cool to see him use this team for the rest of the season. I know he's going to make the appropriate drops and adds to counter team and stuff like that, but round 3, he's got Nuclear Android, the Pori Arcanines, and then round 4, he's got the Bristol Beatles, which is Eric. So Josh he has 2 wins under his belt so far, and he's got 2 tough matches coming up. So if he's able to pull off wins in both of those matches, I'm really going to have a tough time not putting him in the top 5, top 4, top 3, top 2, maybe in the top spot. So it'll be interesting to see how Josh is able to do in both those matches, because they're both tough opponents. But good luck to him and his opponents, and on to the next one. And the next one's going to be number 7 overall, which is going to be the Rider Rhydons, or AB, or at Due Justice. And his record is 2-0 with a differential of +7. In round 1, he had a 6-0 win against Toronto Cheetahs, which is Jabani. And then in round 2, he had a 1-0 win against Edinburgh Knights, which is Bluesy. In round 1, Jabani, just like last season, I don't know why this happens to him, but to start last season, he got 6-0'd. To start this season, he got 6-0'd. I think that he's going to definitely pick it up, but to see Ab 6-0 him week 1, I can't say I'm overly surprised about him. That's not a knock on Jabani, or I'm not saying that Ab is just some sort of god battler, but that just didn't surprise me, given the way that these two battle. I think at the end of last season, Giovanni beat Ab. So that just goes to show you it's just crazy. I'm pretty sure it was a 3-0 toward the end of last season. Giovanni beat Ab, and then to start off the season was a 6-0. So it's just crazy how stuff like that works. But in round 2, he picked up a solid win against Bluesy. Bluesy suffered a 5-0 loss to Verd to start out the season, but then battled much, much better in this 1-0 loss to Ab. I think the Bluesy is one of the battlers that could definitely make a late push and make the playoffs potentially. So to get a 1-0 win against him for Ab right here is definitely a good win for him. And then in round 3, he's got the Portland Timbers, which is myself. And then round 4, he's got the Chattanooga Chestnuts, which is Rudy. So good luck to Ab in both those matches. Number 8 overall with the Bristol Beatus, which is Eric. His record's 2-0 with a differential of +6. In round 1, he had a 6-0 win against Gibraltar Elegance, and in round 2, he had a 1-0 win against Toronto T-Tars. So as you can see, he had that huge win and then a small win, literally identical to Ab, who we just saw before. So I'd say that even though he's number 8, they're essentially number 7 and number 7. I'd give them a tie, but just with the way the power rankings work, I don't give anybody ties. So I just gave Ab the slight nudge ahead just because he's a veteran. But with that round 1 win against Bell Relicants, Eric just battled well, brought a good team, did all that good stuff that you're supposed to do in the LBA, and just able to outclass Nasser, essentially, and get a huge 6-0 win. And then in round 2, he had a 1-0 win against Toronto T-Tars, which is Giovanni. Exact same case where Bluesy battled poorly round 1, and then battled much better round 2, but still had a tough 1-0 loss. Same thing with Giovanni. Giovanni got 6-0'd round 1, and then came back and had a tough 1-0 loss to Eric, but he definitely improved. So altogether, I think that those guys will just keep getting better, and I don't foresee anybody going 0-20 or 1-19 or 2-18 even. I'd see everybody in this league getting at least, I'm going to say, 3 wins at the end. So now, I know that's harsh, but there are some teams that just are going to struggle, people that can't acclimate to the new system and stuff like that, and they may even drop out, but we do have subs lined up. Hopefully everybody stays through and keeps up with the season and stuff like that. But Eric, sorry, back to him. Round 3, he's got the Baltimore Bishops, which is Riley, and round 4, he's got the Bolton Blastoises, which is Josh. That round 4 match, I can't wait to watch. I'm almost looking forward to that one as much as I'm looking forward to the Surrey Litheo against the Prun Litwicks, just because there's a good chance that those two are going to go into that match undefeated. They're both great battlers. They're both newcomers, so I'd say out of all the matches so far, Matt against Verd and Eric against Josh could potentially be the biggest matches of the season so far, between guys that have been veterans and then 2 newcomers that both could all 4 of those guys could go into those matches undefeated. So that would be outstanding to see, and I honestly hope it happens, just because I can't wait to watch all the hype that's going to go around those matches and stuff like that. And actually, I'm going to take this time now to discuss something that we're going to try out on the league. And for the matches that I highlight as the games of the week, I should say, before, I'm going to start up a straw poll on Twitter and within the Skype chat, and have people vote for who they think is going to win the match. It's not really, doesn't have any implication on the match or anything like that, but it'll just be interesting to see what people think and who they think is going to win and stuff like that, and see if the audience was right when guessing who was going to win, or if they were wrong, and it'd just be really cool to see. But with that, on to the next one, which is going to be number 9, and that's going to be the London Dragon Knights, which is DTrain. His record's 2-0 with a differential +4. In round 1, he had a 3-0 win against the Chattanooga Chestnuts, and in round 2, he had a 1-0 win against the Baltimore Braviaries, which is Kelly. In his 3-0 win against Rudy, he just came through with a really powerful team. He made it look like his Zoroark was a Keldeo, and this Zoroark just ripped right through Rudy's team. It was impressive. The way that he used it was that, so it looked like a Keldeo when he brought it in, and it had HP Flying and I believe Dark Pulse, and with the HP Flying, it one-shot killed a Chestnut, and then Rudy brought in his Jellicent, and Jellicent got one-shot killed by a Dark Pulse, or maybe it was a knockoff or something like that. I believe it was a knockoff, actually. And it just like that, bang bang, Rudy just lost his entire core. So that was really, really cool to see. And if DTrain's able to keep up strategies like that, he's going to be able to, I'm not going to say go undefeated and win the entire league, but he's definitely going to be a huge threat in the league. He's going to make the playoffs. So it'll be cool to see him keep trying new stuff like that. But the only reason that I have him down to number 9, which is the lowest out of all the undefeated teams, is because he had the smallest wins of the newcomers against guys that weren't playoff teams last season. So that's the only reason that I have him here. But he definitely looks like a threat in the league, and I foresee him winning more matches than losing them. So, but in round 3, he's got the DC EVs, which is going to be Terran. That's going to be his first match back in the league after taking over for Digital Gene Pool or the Muncie Mucks. And in round 4, he's got the Florida Pyroars, which is Classy Cat. So DTrain definitely has 2 pretty tough matches ahead of him, but I wouldn't be overly surprised to see him win them both. So good luck to him and both of his opponents. Number 10 overall with the Pori Arcanines, whose record's 1-on-1 with a differential of +3, and this is Grail, or at Nuclear Android. In round 1, he had a 2-0 loss against Stray Litheo, which is Matt. In round 2, he had a 5-0 win against Los Angeles Nido Kings. So although he had that tough 2-0 loss against Matt, he immediately redeemed himself with a huge 5-0 win against JJ. JJ was one of the most threatening teams last season, and I still think that he's got one of the most threatening teams this season, like his roster. But so to get a 5-0 win against him there was just huge for Nuclear. His round 3 match, he's got Josh, and round 4 he's got Freedomion. So he's got 4 insanely tough matches at the start of the season. I'm sorry that he got the schedule. It's completely random. I just essentially throw everything into challenge for the like in-division matches, and then I develop my own schedule for the crossover matches because there's no system for me to do that fairly outside of me just doing it on my own. I don't handpick the teams. I make the system before I put the teams onto the system, so it is fair, but he definitely has a tough schedule to start out the season because Matt, he's won the league before, huge threat. JJ, he was I believe that he finished last season with the most wins out of everybody, so he's just great battler. And then round 3 he's got Josh, who's undefeated, and then round 4 he's got Freedomion, who started out last season 9-0. So just a tough start for him, but if he's able to go 3-1 or 2-2 out of these 4 matches, it's definitely not anything to shame your head about. So it'll be cool to see how Nuclear does in these next 2 matches, but good luck to him, and good luck to Josh and Freedomion. Number 11 overall, we're going to have the Real Scissors, which is Zyod. His record's 1-1 with a -2 differential so far. In round 1, he had a 3-0 loss against Shadow Valley Murkrow, or Mr. Murkrow, and then in round 2, he had a 1-0 win against Cincinnati Sylveons. Altogether, Zyod battled pretty well in both these matches. He definitely wasn't completely out of either of them, but he didn't do anything exceptionally crazy or exceptionally creative, I should say, to win either of the matches either. So he could have lost them both, he could have won them both, but he's definitely deserving of this number 11 spot. He's a great battler, he's got a really good team, and he could, I would be surprised if he didn't make the playoffs, honestly, just because Zyod's extremely competitive and he's a great battler. I believe that he finished last season after he took over for Jody's team. I think he finished 5-1 or something like that, so he definitely has the potential to push for the playoffs. So it'll be cool to see how he does from there. But in round 3, he's battling the Toronto T-Tars, which is Jabani, and in round 4, he's got Kelly. So he definitely has two pretty tough matches. Jabani picked it up after that first round match, and he looks much tougher now, so that's definitely not going to be a cakewalk. And then in round 4, he's got Kelly. Kelly's always a huge threat. He's got a really good team, so good luck to him, Kelly, and Jabani. So number 12 overall, we have the Woshions, whose record's 1-1 with a differential of +4. In round 1, he had a 2-0 loss against California Caracosos, which was Texto. I already covered that match somewhat in depth, so I'm not going to get into that one again. But in round 2, he had a 6-0 win against Baltimore Bisharps, and he was just able to destroy Riley's team with his Mega Manectric. I think Mega Manectric picked up 4 kills in that battle, so he is just... Freedomion is one of the best battlers, like 1-for-1 in the entire league, I'd say. That's one of the great things about the LBA, is that you don't have to particularly be the best 1-for-1 battler. You could be the most creative guy in the entire league, and that's why you could win all your matches. So it's really cool to see how that pans out. Like how there's like a balance between creativity and skill, or like if you're super creative and you're super skillful, you're going to do extremely well in this league. So, but Freedomion definitely is a good game planner, and I'm going to say that he just got outplayed against Texto. There wasn't a significant crit or anything like that. It's just that his team just lost to Texto's team. There wasn't like any crazy switches or anything like that. He just lost. But in round 2, he just completely outclassed Riley. Riley's team Riley brought a very strange team to that battle, and he lost 6-0 because of it. But I think that Riley's going to pick it up, and I see him getting a handful more wins and potentially pushing for the playoffs. But I would be extremely surprised if Freedomion didn't make the playoffs, just because he is an extremely tough opponent. He knows how to game plan and stuff like that, and as you can see, he had that tough round 1 loss and immediately bounced back with a 6-0 win. But in these next 2 matches, he definitely has got a tough time with round 3. He's got Shadow Valley Murkrows, which is going to be Mr. Murkrow, and then round 4 he's got the Pori Arcanines, who's nuclear. So neither of those two are cakewalks by any means. So it's going to be tough for him to pull off 2 wins or even a win between those 2 matches, because those 2 are just great opponents. But I definitely wouldn't be surprised if he did win both of them. So good luck to him and those guys. Number 13 overall, we have the Baltimore Braviaries, which is Kelly. His record's 1-1 so far with a +2 differential. In round 1, he had a 3-0 win against the Munchie Mucks, who are now the DC Eevees and are owned by Terran. And in round 2, he had a 1-0 loss against the London Dragonites, which is DTrain. Kelly battled very well in both these matches. He obviously battled better in the first match. As you can see, he got the 3-0 win, and he was able to break down Devon's just extremely bulky team, so that was really impressive to see. And then in round 2, it was a 1-0 loss for him, but it was really kind of a toss-up. It was just like back and forth battle. Not that D-Train didn't deserve to win it by any means, but I'm not going to say that Kelly didn't deserve to win it either. So Kelly looks much better this season than he did last season already, in my opinion. So hopefully he can keep that up and make a push for the playoffs. He definitely drafted a better team too, so that's going to really help out his cause. It'll be cool to see if he is able to make the playoffs, just because I know that some people just really doubted his team at the beginning of the season. But he's making the proper changes, in my opinion. And if he keeps making good changes to counter team his opponents, and he's able to pull off these wins, and just at the end of the season has a good team going into the playoffs, I think that he could really pull it off. But it'll be interesting to see how he does all together. In round 3, he's got the Kukulkan Quakes, which is Mr. Powers of 7, and then in round 4, he's got Real Scizords, which is Zayad, and that's going to be a really tough match for him. But it's also going to be a tough match for Zayad. That's really just a toss-up, in my opinion, but it's going to be fun to watch. So good luck to him and all those guys. Number 14, we have Akshu Milan, or Corey Brown. It's my little brother, and his record's 1-1 with a negative -1 differential, I should say. And in round 1, he had a 2-0 win against Seattle Sandshrews, which is Sandshrew Bogut. And in round 2, he had a 3-0 loss against the Fuchsia Village Volcarona. Round 1, Corey battled really well against Bogut. He brought a really cool team. He brought a pretty powerful mixed Landorus eye in that battle. That was really cool to see. And he did have some hacks in his favor, but altogether, I think that Corey did deserve to win the battle. Not that Bogut didn't deserve to win the battle, because those hacks were pretty significant, but with the way that Corey game planned, it's not like he only won because of hacks. But in round 2, he had a 3-0 loss against Chris. Corey brought his typical, I'm not going to say a typical team, but he brought somewhat standard, like 2 walls, 4 attackers. It's generally, I'd say, pretty simple equation for a team, whereas Chris brought the exact opposite, where he brought 2 attackers and 4 walls, and Corey just wasn't able to break down the bulk. That's not really a knock on Chris for just bringing a bulky team, but maybe kind of a knock on Corey, because you have to be able to prepare for your opponent bringing a full team of just bulk if they have that on the roster. So something you just have to adjust to and get better at, like, recognizing and being able to plan for. Like, I've been a victim of that also. When I battled Kelly last season, he brought a very bulky team, and I wasn't able to break it down, and I lost because of it. So it's something Corey needs to improve on, but I think that he'll be able to fix that in the future. And in round 3, he's got the New York Gengars, which is Ryan. It's definitely a winnable match for Corey. Then round 4, he's got the Freemion, or Woshions. And both these matches are winnable for Corey if he keeps up his game planning and does his typical homework and stuff like that going into the match. I think he could definitely win both these matches. But that being said, he's also had some matches where he seems like he loses focus and he isn't able to pull off a win, like last season when he lost to Grail. I really thought the Corey was going to win that match and then make a push for the playoffs, but then from there he lost that match to Grail and then he just really collapsed overall. So I think it's more of a head game for him, essentially, but he's definitely a dangerous opponent, and good luck to him and Ryan and Freemion in those matches. Number 15 overall with the Florida Pyroars, which is Classy Cat. His record's 1-1 with a -2 differential so far. On round 1, he had a 1-0 win against Portland Timbers, which is myself. And round 2, he had a 3-0 loss against California Caracostas. Altogether, Classy Cat's been battling pretty well. And round 2, I should say, he got outplayed by Texto, and that's why he got 3-0'd. Texto came in with a really good game plan, brought the right team, and was just able to execute and get that win. But I think Classy Cat does have the capability of being a good team in this league. He drafted a pretty solid team. His team is a little UU, I should say, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. If you can work with that team and you can build around it and you can make those Pokemon versatile and they can fit your system, then you're going to win the game. So if he's able to just keep it up and play well like he did round 1 against me, then he's going to be able to get the wins. He's going to make a push for the playoffs, but he does have 2 really tough matches upcoming for him. In round 3, he's got Vertilet, and round 4, he's got DTrain. So you can't sleep on either of those opponents, obviously, because they're both phenomenal battlers. So if he's able to get a win out of either of those matches, it would be pretty impressive for him, and it would really help him going forward. But good luck to him and those guys. And then number 16 overall is going to be the Cincinnati Sophians, or Sophie. This is going to be the last team I'm going to cover in the power rankings, like in depth. I don't think anybody wants to sit here and watch me cover all 32 teams, as that would take probably like 3 hours. So we're just going to get into this, and her record is 1-1 with a differential of +1. In round 1, she had a 2-0 win against New Jersey Magnums, and in round 2, she had a 1-0 loss against Real Scissors, which is sad. Altogether, Sophie's been battling really well. She could have easily won both those matches. That being said, she probably could have lost both of them, but she did battle more than well enough to win against Grail. And then in round 2, it was just a complete fist fight between her and Zayad, and in the end, Zayad was just able to pull it off. So it was really cool to see those two battle, because I've known Sophie for a while, and she's a really good battler, and also known Zayad to be a really good battler for a long time too. So it was cool to watch them battle. Sophie, she's able to keep up, battling well, and she's able to continue to develop with her team. Then she's going to be able to get the good wins. And in round 3, she battles Blackleaf, and then in round 4, she battles Terran. So good luck to her breaking down that awful, awful core that Terran has. But it'll be interesting to see. So good luck to all of them. As you can see, this screen is the full standings. On the left side, we have all the teams that I talked about in depth, and on the right side, we have the teams that I didn't talk about really, because they fell outside the top 16. I'm just going to cover the top half teams from here. But Terran's team, possibly, I think that I would have probably put him at 15th with the way that his team is, and they're 1-1 with the 0 differential and with the wins and losses. I think that's where I would have put him as 15th, but he's going to be not ranked this week since he hasn't actually battled that team yet, so I didn't feel like it was fair to put him in the rankings above somebody, whereas he hasn't even actually battled yet. It was somebody else that battled those both battles. So altogether, I think that these rankings are fair, and again, I rank people on the way that they battle, wins, losses, differential, your team, how you've done in seasons past. That comes into play, obviously, just because if I know that you're a good player in this system, then you're going to be higher ranked than somebody that I don't know quite as well yet. So, I mean, new guys shouldn't take it to heart too much if they've been ranked poorly, but older guys shouldn't take it to heart too much if they've been ranked ahead of those guys, because maybe they don't deserve those spots fully yet, just because I haven't been able to watch these teams enough. So that being said, not next week, but I'd say starting week 3, when I have a full grasp on how people play, and that's going to be following 6 games. 6 games is a considerable part of the season. Granted, we play 20 throughout the entire season, but you're looking like 6 games is a good enough amount to that you're going to be able to tell who the top dog's most likely going to be and who's going to be really struggling to make a push for the playoffs at all. So, but altogether, again, if anybody has a problem with the way that they're rated or what I said about their team, they're welcome to come to me personally, and I will talk to them about it, and I'll tell them why I said the things that I said. And I have no problem accepting the criticism or the blame for what I said on here, and I don't try to offend anybody, obviously, and I don't try to talk anybody up too much. I just give my as unbiased as opinion as possible on it. But thanks again for watching, guys, and I hope to see you next time.